Hey everyone, welcome back to another Angular tutorial.
Have you ever needed a form where users can add as many inputs as they need, like multiple addresses, emails, or phone numbers? In this video, I'll show you how to dynamically add and remove multiple form fields using Angular Reactive Forms. We will build a dynamic address form where users can add multiple addresses on the fly, like street, city, and a zip code. By the end of this video, you will master the form array feature in Angular and understand how to dynamically update your Angular forms. So let's get started.
So first thing which we will do is we will create a new component called dynamic form. So I will go here and I will run the command nggc, and inside my components folder I'll create the dynamic form. So dynamic/form. So this will create a dynamic form inside our components folder here, as you can see, this one. Now we need to make sure we have got the reactive forms module in our app module.ts file. So we'll go here, and inside our imports we should have the reactive forms module. If you do not have this, then you need to put it here. After this, we can continue with creating our form and using our form array.
So the question must arise, why do we use form array and not just form group like how we have been using it, right? So a form array is a dynamic collection of form controls. Unlike form group, it allows us to add and remove controls dynamically, which form group doesn't. So what we will do is we will start by defining our form structure inside the component. Okay, so I'll quickly initialize our constructor, and inside the constructor I will declare my private form builder. So I'll say here form builder, which comes from our Angular forms, and here I will declare my form. So I'll say form would be of type form group. Okay, like this, and we just need to give an indefinite sign here to our form. Now inside our constructor we can initialize our form. We can say this dot form, and we can give it the value of our form group. So we'll go to this dot form builder dot, and we'll access our group property, and here we can define our fields. So our field would be all the addresses, so we need it in array, right? So we'll say here addresses, and this would be, unlike form group, this time we'll be saying this dot form builder dot array, and this would be arrays. So we'll put it like this. Okay, so like this, if we want to have multiple properties, we can have those, but for now we are only dealing with multiple addresses. Okay, so now we can define our different methods to add and remove addresses from our form field. Okay, so first method which we will initialize is our add address. So we'll say add address method. This method will allow us to add different addresses to our form array. So we'll define here a constant address group, and this address group, basically this would be this dot form builder dot group here, and inside this we can define all of our subfields of our address, like our street, city, and postcode. So we can say here street, and we can define, so it would be empty value, like how we do with our form group, right? And we can give our validators as well. So we can say validators dot required, and we can define like this all of our other fields as well. So we'll do same with here. We'll have our street, after that we'll have city, and then we will have our postcode, so zip code, and that would be empty as well, and validators dot required. And you can also use some advanced regex for that. So whenever you want to use some advanced regex and some more validations, we'll put them inside a square bracket like this. So I'll do that, and you can also get it from online, whatever pattern you want for your zip code or postcode. And once we have done this, whenever user clicks this method, after this we need to take this address group and add it to our addresses, right? So inside this, so for that what we'll do is we'll create a get method to access these addresses, so it's more cleaner for us. So we'll say here get addresses. Okay, and this method, basically this would be of type form array. Okay, and what we'll do here is this would return our this dot form, and we will get our address property, which is this one. And so we'll say get, and inside this we'll mention this as form array, right? And that's it. Now we have access to
this addresses. So we can just go here in our add address method every time user fills out this form. Then we definitely want to call our this dot addresses, and we want to push, as it's an array, we want to push our address group, this object. So we have pushed our form group inside our form array here. Okay, this looks more cleaner and better. Now same we'll do for remove address. So we'll say remove address, and inside this what we'll do is, as we want to remove a particular address, we will take an index, okay, and that will be of type number. And here we'll say this dot addresses dot remove, and we want to remove at the index, so we already have access to the index from here, so we'll pass it from our HTML. So now we have access to the index, and that address should be removed from our form array. And if we want to add a default address field in our form group, whenever our form is loaded, in our constructor we can just call our this dot add addresses method here, this one. So what this will do is, this will add a default address for us. So every time our page is loaded, we have one address field automatically there. And just to see our form fields in action, we can just print them to the console log. So I'll just print here log, and I'll say form data, and here we can say this dot form dot value. Okay, now only thing we need to do is we need to go into our HTML and we need to build our UI. So in our template file, we'll start with creating our form. So we will define our form here, and we will give the form group property equals to our form, which we have defined in our TS file. And whenever our ng submit button, this is called, at that time we want to call our submit button, which we have declared as well. Now inside this, we'll first have a div, and this div will have a form array name. So that is how we do our form arrays. Okay, so this will be equal to our addresses. So this addresses is basically this property addresses, and we want it to be equals to this. Okay, so we'll just put it here. And now inside this, we will have another div where we will run our ng4 loop. So we'll say ng4, and we want to go over all of the address inside our addresses dot controls, right? So that is how we'll have access to all the addresses. So we'll say addresses dot controls, and here we will say address. Okay, and we'll say let I equals to index. Okay, as we need to pass this index in our remove, so we'll need this, and we'll say our form group name. So this one here, form group name, and this will be equals to our I here. Okay, so now we can define our form fields. So we can say label here, and the label we'll call it street, all of our three fields. Okay, so this would be street, and then we can have our input for the label. So the input field, and this would be of type text, and we can give our form control name. So form control name would be our street, and this street we are getting from here, this one we have defined it here. So street, and like this we'll have for our city and our zip code. So I'll just copy and paste. Okay, now that's clear. We just need to define our button. So here we'll have our button, and button would be, we'll give it the type button. Okay, so this is our remove button. So we'll just say here remove, basically remove the address. So we'll give a click event to this button, and we will say remove address every time this button is called, and we want to pass our index, which is this I. Okay, so we have passed it. Now after the div, we will pass our button, which is to add the address, and one to submit our form. So we will say here this one add address. Okay, and this button would have a click listener as well, and we'll call our add address method, and we don't need to pass anything for this one. Here this would be of type button, and we'll have another button. This button would be of type submit, because we want to submit our form, right? So submit, and we'll remove this, and here we'll say we want to disable this button if our form is invalid. And with this button, we will give a text called submit. So that's it for this bit. Now we just need to give some styling to our form. So we'll go to our SCSS file and we'll just paste some styling here. So you can also get the styling from either here or you can access it from our GitHub, which I have given the link in the description. So that's it. Now we just need to go into our app component.html file. So we just need to declare our form here. So we'll say app dynamic form and we'll just give it a div and put it inside the div, and we'll give it a class and we'll call it dynamic form. Now when we save it and we go to our form, you can see that our form is nice and clear and we have all the fields required. You can also see the submit button is also grayed out, so we cannot submit the form if we want. We can open the console log here and here we'll be able to see our form field. So now we can add out different fields. So I can add like this. Now you see that our submit button is enabled because all of our form fields are correct and they meet our requirements. But if I remove one of the field, like let's say city, you'd see that it will go disable again. If I put it back, and then I can add multiple address. Either I can submit the form or I can add multiple address. So once I add multiple address, now again we need to type some other address, okay? And we can add more and more addresses. So you see how we have used our form array to make reusable form controls. Now we can add more addresses like this, okay? And then we can submit the form. Once we submit it, you can see that we have our form array fields and they are in like array of addresses. So we can expand them and all the details are here, and then we can do whatever we want from these details, either save them to a backend or display it in some other page. So we can also go over and we can remove one of the addresses. For example, I will remove this flat 403, and if I remove it, you see how easy it is. Just in one click we can remove and we can add our addresses. We can submit the form again, and this time it's updated with the current two addresses we have got, okay? And that's it for this tutorial. Now you can build form that adapts to user inputs dynamically. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more Angular content like this. I will see you guys in the next video.